Does that help, Joe? Does that help?
No. Watch computer never updates.
You got a pen? Oh, you got a pen. Like I said. How are you? Good, I haven't seen you for a long time. Have you? Wow.
Call the City of Goldbar Council meeting for Tuesday, February 19th to order. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to note that we have all council people here tonight. Desk John White, Denise Beeston, and Sergeant Casey. And nice turnout tonight. Appreciate having you all. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion, comment? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you. Okay, we'll get to the mayor's report. The only thing I had to talk about tonight, Lee Hodo, is hopefully going to be approved by the county council on February the 26th around 3 p.m. On February 27th, Davey Martin is leaving to go traveling all around the United States of America. And so we would not be able to swear Lee in as a new council person on March the 5th because we would have a quorum. So what we want to do is call a special meeting for Tuesday, February 26th, maybe 6 p.m., if that's okay with everybody, and then we will have the swearing in ceremony. Is 6 okay for you?
I can't guarantee that it was 6:30 tonight, so.
Okay.
I prefer 7 o'clock.
Okay. Okay, 7 o'clock? Then let's do it for 7 o'clock. Okay, I'll put out all the proper announcements. And that's all I have to say. We'll start with Denise on these staff reports.
I got an email saying I had actually got accepted to the academy, so thank you all very much for the opportunity to do that. I'm looking forward.
Oh, and I didn't put it on, oh, it is on the agenda. Good, okay. That's it?
That's it.
John?
I spent a week over in Yakima getting continuing education hours for certifications. We have good classes. Usually started like 8 in the morning, and all the festivities and classes ended like 8, 9 o'clock at night. Regulating agencies were there, so got some updates on things that might possibly be coming down the pipe too. Shoreline Master Plan, still working on that. Just about, the final draft should come out here, I think, hopefully within the next month or so. There was a lot of stuff that was approved by Department of Ecology that were portions of that plan, and the person who verbally approved those got shifted someplace else, and there's another person in there, and so a lot of that stuff that was verbally approved didn't meet muster. So there was some changes that had to be made for the current person who's in charge of the master plan. Been doing some street sweeping, been looking, we changed out some more water meters for water use efficiency. Usually, you have a meter that's been in the ground and it has had 1 million gallons of water. The smaller meters, if it's had 1 million gallons of water go through it, a lot of cities, you know, they start changing them out of that. We've got some that's been in the ground with 2 million gallons in it, 2.5 million gallons. So they're the first ones we'll be changing out. But it does seem to be helping, you know, changing the meters, because the meter never runs fast. If the meter goes haywire, it always runs slow. So anyway, we're keeping busy. That's it.
Coach Casey?
And last week, theft in progress in town. Well, about a 5-minute-old theft, and we looked at a guy for that. He was the same kid that had committed a theft a couple weeks prior over at the latte stand. And then, last night, Deputy Ross pulled a hat trick. He came out and arrested somebody on warrants, and came back and arrested somebody on warrants, and came back and arrested somebody on warrants again.
Oh, gee.
All in town. The third party, that guy, took off, and before Deputy Ross could get out on his radio, he ended up in quite a struggle with the guy. Hurt both of his hands a little bit, got quite a bit of swelling, but I think he'll be all right. Don't know who the citizen is that stopped, but a citizen driving a lifted white Chevy pulled over to the side of the road, and by that time, Alex was pretty beat, pretty tired, and had a long wait for his backup to still get there. And the citizen came in and asked him if he needed some help, and actually physically got down and helped him arrest the guy and get the guy into handcuffs, so that the fight was over. So, if anybody hears of who that is, I'd sure like to personally thank him. But we're making some little bits of progress here and there, identifying and getting better information on the people that are bringing the drugs into town, and starting to kind of impact them a little bit. Hoping we can continue. Second of his 3 warrants last night was a person of interest in the burglary at the Sultan Post Office. And so Alex had tracked him. We'd been given the name, and Alex tracked him down to the address here in Goldbar and arrested him and booked him in for that. He likely is going to be out for a while. He'll be sitting in on a federal detainer, and so until that whole thing gets settled. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with Ken tonight.
All right, so I know last time when Denise asked us to approve her visit to the academy, we felt a little bit grilled, and I would just like to clear the air. I think that from now on, when some of the staff comes before the council to seek funding for academies or whatever, they need to come with the idea of selling what the benefit of their attendance is, in part for us at the council as we're supporting you, but also to the benefit of the public, because they need to understand why we're approving things as well. So I think it's a twofold thing, and I think that that all those who come before from this point forward should expect to justify why we should spend the money. That's the only comment I have at the moment.
And that was good. I told her you gave her a mini MBA that night.
Yeah. Not very good at public speaking, so.
Davey.
Well, I'd like to say welcome to Lee. It's so good to see you here, and just looking forward to serving with you.
Thank you.
I think you've got some real talent to bring to this council. And Sergeant Casey, it is wonderful to hear we have citizens who'd like to support the town and help the town and do good things for the town. And that's really kind of putting themselves above and beyond. Cool.
Yeah, this guy just jumped back in his truck and drove off.
How cool is that?
Didn't stop to give a name or anything. He just figured out, did what he needed to do. It's time to go. And handed Deputy Ross his taser and no, I'm out of here. Deputy Ross, he dropped it in the fight. He used it on the guy and dropped it in his truck. So, but that's after helping to pin the guy down so that Deputy Ross could get some handcuffs on him. He was just too tired to continue. So.
Well, I enjoyed the class we had last night. We did run a little bit long.
Why don't you explain what the class was?
Well, it was refreshing all of us on what's the appropriate role of city councilman, and then also had some talk about open meetings and the Open Meeting Act, what you can and can't do, and then we even had some discussions on Public Records Act as well. All very informative and a good refresher for us people out here at the end of the line. So that's all.
Yeah, that was an AWC meeting, had Eagle Index, Psycholish, Duval,
Stanley.
in Stanwood. So, and it was just a training course, very well done. Now that we've finished that, we'll take citizen comments. We've got about 3 minutes. If you look like you're gonna run long, I'll put the egg timer on. But if you'd like to make a comment or anything else, please step to the podium and give us your name.
My name is Jay Jeffries, and I live at 112 Megan Court here in Bull Bar in the Creekside neighborhood. My home abuts the old chainsaw place. And in the last 2 to 3 months, a bunch of, I call them vagrants, have moved in. Approximately 7 to 8 motorhomes, trailers, dilapidated, covered in visqueen, etc., etc. No sanitation, no nothing. I see flashlights. It's like a campground to me. I see people out there with flashlights at all hours of the night. Saturday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, I woke up to the medics back there hauling somebody out. I emailed Ray. I'm the anonymous guy that started this all. I emailed Ray because I was concerned. There's a walking path back there that when the Creekside neighborhood was put in, I'm an original owner. They use that as a driveway. It's no motor vehicles allowed. It has now become a driveway. And I'm just concerned, and I would like to hear an update of what's going on with, what's going on back there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
with some help from Denise, we identified the property owner there, made contact with him. What we did with him was let him know that for each one of those units back there, most of which he owns, that it's a $100 per day fine for people living in those units. We worked with him. In this case, if we were to just start writing the tickets, I believe there's a good chance he'd have dug his heels in. And so what we did was we worked with him a bit, but we also brought in the county health department and went up there and did an examination of the property with the county health department. Photographing and taking note of the condition of how they're draining their wastewater with their trash, the garbage, that sort of stuff piled up. Contacted people living there, got statements from them about how they came to live there, and then went back to the property owner. We basically gave him a deadline. He's past the deadline now, as of today. He's moved some of the folks out, but he hasn't completely upheld his end of the bargain, and so the tickets will start. And so he'll be facing $100 a day violations for having those people there. The bit this weekend, I got after him right before I left for the weekend and said, you know, you're down to the wire here. They've got to be gone. And the message I got from him this morning when I came to work was, I've got most of the people out of there, but not everybody, and I might need your help to get the last out. And also, so that you're aware, you know, Volunteers of America at the national organization, you know, at the corporate level, they're pretty embarrassed about what happened, but it was a local VOA person who found out that, hey, this guy might let people live in RVs on his property, and worked with these people to get their public assistance funding through Volunteers of America, handed to this slumlord who's running that operation over there. And so, you know, and he gets pretty offended when I use that phrase, but I don't know what else you can call it. There was, you know, garbage bags piled higher than I am. I mean, you know, wastewater being dumped out on the ground out of those RVs. And so absolutely right, it was pretty disgusting and really, really offensive. I haven't yelled at anybody. I just don't get mad at folks and yell at folks, and I haven't done that in a long, long time. But when I was down at Volunteers of America dealing with them and dealing with him on the phone at the same time, we were getting pretty hot. So I haven't been issuing a bunch of fines, and it's not because I don't think that the code is appropriate. It's just that I think the objective here is to get that out of there as quickly as possible. And so rather than just start immediately hitting him and declaring, as he put it, declaring war, it was more of a, well, we'll work with you here for a short period of time, a couple weeks, and then you've got to go. You've got to make things happen fast. So So that's where we're at, and whatever is left there, however many people left, the people living there are gonna get tickets too. So, and they were all told that as well, they're gonna be getting a $100 ticket a day. So I don't know how much that'll impact them, they live on public assistance and don't drive anyway, and so I don't know how much impact that's gonna have on at least some of them, not all of them. So, you probably know more about the.
I see it out my window daily.
Yeah. So, but we did get some of them out of there, and we're just gonna keep at it till it's all done.
Appreciate that, thank you.
But, we're doing the same other locations in town, by the way. There are people, very few residences around town living in RVs. We're trying to work with them to get them moved out, because we understand that it does take a little bit of time to get a place to live, but at the same time, they're all facing the possibility of $100 fines. The one right here next to the building, the owner of that property already got his $100 ticket. And so we just keep at it. Sorry that took too long.
No, that's fine, that's good. You need someone to go yell at people. You probably find support for this.
Mr. O'Neill's looking in. He'll just get his first ticket now, so we'll see if that speeds him up to get the rest of it out of there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to the first item of business. It's old business because Ken Ware asked when we were discussing this earlier, to wait for Bob Strom to come back. And, I'm gonna do that. Oh, here it is. Now, because we're discussing the fire station, and Davey is a EMT volunteer there, there is a question of the appearance, the conflict, et cetera, et cetera. And so, when we get to that discussion, and we're not gonna do any action tonight, we're gonna discuss, or no decisions tonight, we're gonna discuss. And, so one of the things, we have two options here tonight. One of which is Debbie recused herself, but if she recuses herself, we don't have a quorum. So then what we do is, if it's all right with the, council, she stays on according to the RCW, and just doesn't take part in the discussion. And then I'll brought some enforcement material, sure. Or the other one, we can just table it until the March 5th meeting, when hopefully we'll have Lee there and we can have a quorum with that date. So, you won't be here. So, Ken, you asked to have this put on, and Bob, you missed some of the discussions. It's you two guys and how we proceed.
Let's go for the March 5th and bring Lee right on in here, huh?
Okay.
All
I
right.
mean, that way we avoid all conflict and all of it.
Okay.
We need a motion to do that.
Is what?
We need a motion to do that.
Probably so. Need a motion to table this until the next meeting.
Also move that we table this discussion until the March 5th meeting. Is that right?
That's correct.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, now we're looking at some updates to ordinance, a lot of ordinances to update. And, have a whole three-ring word. We've been looking at this for over a year now, going through the ordinances, the whole three-ring binder of ordinances that need to be changed. So, what we'll do is start in. I made a real rough draft to talk about tonight. This is the introduction, not the, again, we're not going to do anything. We'd like to be in a position next, the March 5th council meeting to have a ordinance ready for first reading. And this is kind of sort of how it will be. You've gotten copies of it. And it's basically coming up with one penalty. We have all sorts of penalties, $25, $90, $250, this one, that can do. And if you do stuff like, for example, if you don't follow your business license with the state, throw you in jail. So some of those are a little extreme. And so what I did, just something on the order of the general penalty, and it should be, I think, section, not paragraph, 116.01 applies, would be the universal one. And then here are most of the sections that get changed. We've got one, just delete that one. Some of these are state law requirements, so we would not change them. And then the rest of them, we just rewrite with the section 2 wording. And there's some, I've had Anne Marie looked at it, and Sergeant Casey looked at it, and had some comments and minor corrections. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at this, and I'll open it up for council comments.
I think it makes good sense. Simplify everything.
Did you do them all?
Oh, I think there's one more we're gonna take some. Next time I'll go ahead and have it worked out in a lot better detail.
So actually, this is the updated that Sergeant Casey is using right now is the $100 a day, or was that already in place?
No, this is the new one that we did, I forgot when we did this ordinance, it was back last year.
Yeah.
We made the general penalty a civil penalty, with follow-up to become a misdemeanor if you don't pay, don't respond.
So that's what you're using right now, or?
We use it for some things because it's in place on some things, but it's pretty limited right now what it's already in place for. This expands it to be the vast majority of the penalty issues for the city. There were a couple things I recommended, maybe not. But again, it's up to you guys. And then a couple things were, the corrections I was making were just typographical type stuff, so pretty simple. But yeah, it's just, this is just my understanding, expanding this to be the overall general penalty for most violations of code.
And where it's different, it'll be specified under that section of the code.
Can you go up to section 2 up there again?
Down to section.
Down, thank you. So penalty of violation shall be, written penalty shall be paragraph of 1.16. And that's the text that's gonna go in everywhere?
That is, yeah, yeah, I think, paragraph is actually section, that's the wrong way.
Okay.
And maybe we'll reword it,
We'll have one place where we're gonna have the general penalty.
Yeah, here's the
So
general
ultimately, we will just change that, say,
yeah, if we decide to change the
Economy.
penalty, you go to one place to change it,
and
and, which is probably why we have a lumpy dozen different penalties, is they were changed specifically over the years.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Yeah.
So, each of these affected codes, it would be beneficial for me if I had some idea of what each of those was, so I don't have to go look at your.
Oh, the next ordinance would have that.
Okay.
This was just an introduction, and I can pull any of these, if you're interested in any one of them, or all of them, I can pull them up on the internet. Throw them on the wall.
No, I'm looking for like a summary, a quick thing that I can look at, so we know what it is we're actually approving.
Oh, yeah, that's right, didn't say what it's for. Well, what I was gonna do next time, we'll probably end up saying, something on the order of, I can't remember what the word is, but void this ordinance and replace it with that ordinance. And then we can go ahead, and put enough in so you know what we're doing. I mean, here's if you want to sit in front of the computer and research.
Right,
it's there.
exactly, it's there, I got it.
But I didn't want to come up with a 27-page thing tonight.
Right, I agree.
Thank you.
So I think it's a good thing to do, it's
Okay.
just that it would be nice to understand what it is we're putting in here.
Oh,
Otherwise, I'm not so sure, maybe it might not be a good thing.
okay, so I'll have something worked out before the March 5th one, and we'll get it scrubbed a couple of times and then present it. Okay, the next one is hearing examiner ordinance. This one's a bit more complete,
Mhm.
because I took the Sultan ordinance and changed Sultan to Goldbar, and that made things a lot easier.
So we currently do not utilize a hearing examiner.
No, we do not utilize the hearing examiner. We utilize a non-existent planning commission, which by resolution defaults to the city council for land use issues. And that's not a good, as you learned last time, land use issues are complicated.
Right.
And the rules change at the state level and so forth and so on. So what you have is by going to a hearing examiner, you have someone who does this for a living, who keeps up with everything, and will tell you, no, your code 171413A2 is in violation of state law, so you need to change it. You know, he knows all the details, which we do not. And so I think Sultan's already done this, and they're happy with the guy they got. And I think Granite Falls is doing the same thing, if they haven't done it already. And it's just for small cities. It's not something we want to try to develop the technical expertise and depth.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But what I would like to understand is what is the impact to our budget?
The impact is that the developer pays for it.
So, okay.
We developed it, it's all-
Yeah, that's how we got it written, John, isn't it? Okay. Because that was it. I think we may have to go back through, there's an ordinance buried in here somewhere that says some fixed fees, and we will probably have to adjust that ordinance. But I'll have that tweaked up next time too. And the good news here, this is a fairly simple one because somewhere in here, okay, he does everything it says here. Somewhere in here it says that anywhere else in our code where it says planning commissioner or this or that or the other refers to this guy. So we don't have to go through and find every place somewhere where it says go to the planning commission or go to the planning commission. We just automatically follow. And that was Denise's suggestion, and it was already done by Sultan. So, anyway, it's pretty straightforward, worked out, low legal expenses to approve. All right, so again, next week I will bring the ordinance up for first reading. I will probably bring, to take out the planning commission description, and maybe we'll take a look at the fees, the fee schedule in ordinance.
So, to discuss this a little bit further, and I probably my discussion at this point isn't really, it probably isn't as productive as I'd like to think it is, but, so again, I think that as we move forward, as we look into the future, we kind of wanna, I think we need to develop revenues, and by that I mean we wanna attract business that actually, I think, we don't really wanna raise property taxes on the residents, and we don't really want to raise, you know, our levels of sales tax. We don't really want to burden our citizens, but we do want to somehow encourage the kind of development that will bring revenues. And so I just want to be sure that we're not hampering ourselves by doing this. That's, you know what I'm saying? So I think a hearing examiner is a good thing, but if he's over restrictive, if
He follows our code. Now, the bad news, we're going to tell you the bad news.
Oh, don't worry, I was gonna pipe up.
Oh,
here.
why don't you tell the bad news?
Well, first of all, our ordinances will have to be accurate to what we actually want. Details. But, you know, that's one, you know, you're at risk because they'll follow our ordinances, so our ordinances have to be appropriate. So we're not off the hook entirely by any stretch of the imagination. The other side of the coin, the side that going to a hearing examiner does, at least from my point of view, is where's our forward-looking land use?
right.
And the hearing examiner doesn't do that. You know, the planning commission kind of has that, you know, in the side, but we lose that. So that may be another
Yes,
role
yes.
that we're gonna have to pick up as a council is, you know, what if we want Gold Bar to be in 5 years, like we heard about last night? You know,
Is it
we
an
can't
either
think
or though?
just, huh?
Is it an either or?
How do you mean?
I mean, just because, so if you decide to have a hearing examiner and you utilize a hearing examiner, does that mean you can't have a commission that looks
Okay.
at plans and looks forward to how to
Frank,
utilize?
you wanna give us a 60-second description of how the planning commission works and so?
I can do that.
This is Frank Webb. Let me move it over here so we'll be sure to hear you. Okay.
The issue with what we were looking at was one of liability, probably more than anything else. And just in a quick example, the city of Sultan was recently sued over a utility issue. The suit was thrown out. The cost of suing the city was $250. The cost of the city defending it to have it thrown out was $10,000. So this is the disparity that you're automatically dealing with. And when you start working in areas of development and planning where you guys are the ones who are the final authority, this is where the buck stops. It's so easy to put yourself in a position of just misstating a fact and making it appear that there is no fairness, so this is a backroom deal or there is no bias, and how you can be sued. And anytime you start talking about what might be the good old boys club, it can be pretty tough to prevail when that comes to suit, and you could really get pounded. So that was really the motivation behind all of this in the first place. The planning commission, our job is policy, and we sort of temper everything that comes down the pipe to work for the constituency. You know, we're the guys, the middlemen between the citizens and the government, to try to temper all of this as it comes through. And our policy decisions don't change. We write the ordinance, or we're part of writing the ordinance, which is part of the policy, and it goes in place. The planning commissioner comes in, and this one guy that we use is absolutely stellar. He reads through it, he says, this is the law, this is the way we handle it. They can do it, or they can't do it. That's all there is to it. If there's a variance, or a conditional use, or anything else that we have to look at, it has to be written for us to consider it. So, Mr. Strom mentioned, well, what about future land use? Because the planning commission can kind of do that. You can't do that even with the planning commission without putting yourself in potential liability. Because if you are favoring something that you think it should be, but it's not directly in line with what's written in the ordinance, then you immediately have set yourself up for liability, for potential litigation, for a potential lawsuit. And that's what the problem is with that. So everything that you're dealing with, especially now with the internet, and people are getting so much smarter about suing government and public records requests and all of that, especially now, you just have to be so careful at city government level on exactly how you handle yourself and how you present yourself, because it's the perception of fairness that gets you more than anything else. Does that answer your question? I sort of ramble around.
In some ways, and in other ways, no, because I think the crux of my question is, can you have a planning commission and a hearing examiner both? I mean, can't you have a commission that actually helps you?
Yes, absolutely you can, but what the planning commission does is not quasi-judicial work.
Right.
They don't approve permits, they don't look at building plans, they don't decide what's good or bad for the city.
Right.
That's already decided in the code.
That's right.
But we work on putting the policy together, which the city council then has the final say on,
Right.
that the planning, or that the hearings examiner uses to guide
That's
development in the proper direction.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think the problem, I don't know if Ken's aware of it, but we used to have the planning.
Yeah, I knew we used to have one.
And they just couldn't get people to volunteer, and so there was no quorum.
But still, even so, this, for a city our size particularly, this is much better
Oh, yeah.
for all reasons.
Indeed. And compared to the liability.
For the judiciary part of it,
Yeah.
not necessarily for the planning part.
Right.
Oh, yeah, well, he doesn't do that.
Right.
No,
We, just for your information, we also had the hearing examiner at one time,
Okay.
Oh, really?
yeah, prior to my time. I just happened to run across contract.
Okay. Okay, what we got next? Oh, all-terrain vehicle. Is it, okay, there's a new, I updated it a little bit on there, on the packet in front of you. And I'll give you the, real quick. Come on, open up. Excuse me, me and the computer have to go into a fight right now. Wait a second, I know where it is. Nope, I don't know where it is. It's not opening up, it's sitting there and looking at me. It does this on occasion. Well, while we're waiting for the computer to do whatever the computer does, the gist of this is that there's been a push to have all-terrain wheeled vehicles be able to drive on city roads, city and town roads. And the idea was, there's some things, like, for example, there's a really good example out in around the Atlantic coast, what was the feud by the Hatfield McCoy recreational area. And there, the off-road vehicles are street legal, turn signal, the whole 9 yards. And they, there it is. And they are able to drive around between the recreational area and the local cities. Now, local cities like it because they come in and buy stuff. The same thing has been proposed as the expansion of Reeder Pit. There's already a state law that you can go from Reeder Pit to, for example, Gold Bar, if Gold Bar lets you, and they're legal to drive on those streets. And so what the discussion has been to open that up a little bit to allow off-road vehicles on streets for 35-mile-an-hour and less speed limit. Okay. Now, what happened in here, there's 2 categories. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I had one question on that 35. Does that mean Highway 2 as well as our own 0?
They did include Highway 2 in there under the conditions of our throne. I couldn't quite figure that out.
I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, what have they started out with something like this with, let me.
Yeah.
With,
But the city has the option to actually accept or reject, to limit what streets are acceptable, what streets are not.
Kinda, sorta.
I was part of this.
Okay, good. Come in.
So I went to their meetings and helped where I could, not to try to make it pass or not make it pass, but when they would come up with language issues and things, and try to help resolve some of the bickering going on between the different groups that were supporting this. So, no travel on state highways, period.
Okay.
They can cross. So groups out of eastern Washington were pushing for them to be able to use the state highway bridges and overpasses. In addition to being able to cross, they were told flat out no. Washington State Patrol stepped in and said, we will do everything we can to shoot that down if you try to do it. And so, knowing that that was a death sentence for it last time they tried to make it go, they stayed away from that. It includes taxes, license fees, and they have to put plates and turn signals, things like that on their ATVs. It allows, part of the discussion was, do we want to have cities opt in? Cities and rural counties opt in or opt out? The decision that was made, I'm not part of the decision-making authority for it, was to have them opt out. And you might know better than I do, my understanding is the city can opt out by passing an ordinance that says we're not gonna have that here. So when they were initially negotiating this, the idea was that a city could opt out, except that they could allow it on a specific pathway or a specific set of streets. So for example, if you were to have if somebody put in an RV park, nice camping area, wanted to be able to ride from that rigger pit. That was my understanding, was that you'd be able to opt out with the exception of that, but you have probably read the final version. And
Yes, you were absolutely correct, and I was highly in agreement with what you described.
Okay.
However, I slipped up, made a mistake. I read the House bill. Oh,
Yes.
It's always a bad mistake. And about US two, you can't ride US two at the exempted highway. Absolutely, State Patrol said, no person may not operate a wheel well trained vehicle on state highways that are listed in chapter 4717, that's US two among others. However, you can do it on a segment of a state highway if that segment within the segments of the city and the speed limit is 35 miles an hour less. Oops.
Yes.
And I said, okay, does this mean that we have no choice in the matter? That they can drive on US two because it's 35 miles an hour inside the city limit? And then the other, oh yes, we opt in.
They have to get there though.
Oh yeah, well, they take care of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can opt out except for certain paths. Well, if you're over, what, 20,000? 15,000, yeah, that's
Right.
fine. They weren't gonna push that on the big cities to kill Bill. But the legislative body of a city with population fewer than may by ordinance designate a road or highway to be unsuitable for use. Oh, we went from the false negative, false positive there in a flash. And what reached me, that is a road. Okay, and so I started.
So, yeah, that's unsuitable. I don't know what that means, that's pretty nebulous.
No, well, it's the A road that got me. Yeah, unsuitable for use. Yeah, and what happens
So that
is,
basically says you can't do it unless you have some real justification for calling it unsuitable.
yeah. So what happens, big cities, yeah, you gotta opt in, you get automatic opt-out. Small cities, you get an automatic opt-in, if you're gonna do something too bad, it's real limited, okay. Then there were several emails, Bruce Albert of Index started, and I threw in my 4 cents worth, and then went through, I'm not gonna go through it all. But basically, let me see if I can find the, oh, it's right at the front, excuse me for flashing through, if someone has a question about a part, we can go back. This is Jeff Brand and Bruce Albert and Joe Beavers and, let's see, and then one of the representatives who's evidently the author of the bill. And so anyway, I worked with them and Matt Shea, excuse me, Ted Jackson said change it from A to any road within the boundary. And I still think, I don't know, would you interpret any to be any road or roads? I came across and said, let's do it this way. Give everybody the same rule, 15,000 or more, 15,000 or less. And by resolution or town, and the rep said, simpler drafting is better, go with the first version, we'll add towns as well. So, anyway, I did admit in here that maybe I read one too many court opinions on this, but on things. But that's where it sits. And so I'm leaving it up, the council can say, do nothing, the council can talk about doing it. People can contact our representatives about this. I saw a flaw that I questioned.
So, some of the questions I have, so they have to be street legal vehicles. As far as I know, I'm not aware of any noise ordinance within the city with regard to motor vehicles. I don't know if snowmobiles qualify as off-road vehicles.
No, the all-terrain off-road vehicles is very tightly defined in the House bill. I didn't read the whole House, that part was nicely done.
Only wheeled vehicles, is that what you?
Wheeled vehicles, all-terrain wheeled vehicles defined as, they have a whole laundry list of stuff you have to do, licensed driver, yada, 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 just like a car.
Would expect that. So some of the issues that I would find, that I would wanna have resolved or answered is because they're gonna be going up and down, May Creek Road, which is where I reside, where my business is. So would there be rules that they have to be within this? I mean, because if they start hampering traffic, that's a problem. And So we want it to flow freely. We don't necessarily want to keep them off the road, but I don't want them to be slowing traffic. I don't want them to actually make it a roadblock.
Yeah, I'd like
And I
to,
don't want noise going up and down that street. You got enough noise already.
I agree with you, with noise, but I think we need to look at this from a slightly different point of view. We're looking at it as exclusive. We don't want, you know, don't. The other side of this coin is, what if they come in here and spend some money?
No, I understand that.
I mean, but can't we talk about that side of the equation as well? I think it needs to be both, and also, you know, like some street or a street, you know, what are we really talking about?
Yeah.
Because our district for the commercial is pretty much along Highway 2, it's not on May Creek Road.
Right.
Yeah, but if they're coming from Reeder Pit, for the activity, they're coming from, the equestrian trails, if they're coming from all these other places that we've seen developing over the years, they will be coming up Reeder to May Creek.
Yep.
And like Sergeant Casey said, when we started, it would have been, Goldbar could have done so, say, okay, we'll open May Creek Road to First to US 2, First to Lewis, over, and so they can access all of the commercial areas.
Yeah.
The way the law came up, go anywhere, anytime, unless we can block one street.
That's another question I have, because that's exactly what I would think. You would want to designate a route for them, and you would not necessarily want them on all of your residential streets.
And Jeff Brand tried to explain that doing it this way was less work for the cities, even if they've got to, one at a time, restrict roads. And Albert sort of banged hard on that. But that's where we sit. And like I
And
said,
we only have the option to opt in or opt out.
you have the option to talk to your representative in the city. You have the option to say, we want to take a position officially as a city council, we'll do a resolution or something, which, now that you see this, you think about it, do it the 5th again. And I'll call and see when the drop dead dates are for things. So, anyway, so I brought it up.
Would be nice to know what we actually can do.
Yeah.
Well, you're not gonna know until after it passes, and, well, actually, you know, you'll know 4 years and $500,000 later when the Supreme Court tells you what it meant. Our discussion from last night.
It needs to be plural, and that was when I started these meetings, that's where we were going.
Yeah.
Obviously, things changed a lot.
Yeah, and I don't know what's changed from the final meeting to here. Because I've watched really well thought out bills go into committee and stuff come out that wasn't as good. Anyway, I'm getting into the get off my lawn stage of life.
Well, I'm not exactly there. I kind of agree with Bob. I mean, we want to encourage you to spend money,
Safely.
but yeah, and in a way, yeah.
Let's get it from here.
If May Creek Road's a thoroughfare, we don't want them obstructing that. Yeah.
Why don't, I'll go in and print out the latest version of the House bill and drop it off for everybody, and you can take a look at it, and give you the phone numbers. If you want to contact our elected officials directly, you can, or whatever you want to do, and we'll hit it again next time.
And this is a statewide initiative, is that what I'm hearing?
That's right.
This is,
Very statewide.
the language about any road where they're trying to limit you to force you to pick individual streets and that sort of thing is, I'm surprised that prevailed. I know we pushed that, and that's surprising, so.
Okay, because Albert pointed out, he said, you know, index, yeah, if you have to do it one at a time, it's no big deal, but what about a city of 10,000 people with, 180 roads? And it brings up another thing, say we're going to May Creek First, da-da-da-da. Well, if there's some guy who has one at the end of 8th Street, and he wants to drive on down to La Hacienda and have lunch. See, there's the flip side of that. So, that's called policy. Okay, well, let's go on to the next one then. What we got? Okay, I sent you stuff, basically, what we've got on the office temp. Sherry Daugherty has applied to Express Employment, I believe it is, and they're working the thing up. I talked about $850 as being what it would cost to have her work 4 hours a day for 2 weeks while Denise is out. And then, and so basically, if that's what we talked about last time, you wanted to get more information, or you wanted to at least think about it for 2 weeks. So the next question is, what are you gonna do about that?
I move that we accept this.
I was gonna say, can we just approve hiring her?
We don't hire her,
Well, I mean, that we approve hiring her through the temp.
yes,
Since Denise has been accepted to the
Yeah.
program, so we know she's going.
okay,
And
We're
gonna
approving
use-
authorization to hire, that's
Yeah.
what we're talking
okay.
Yes.
and budget for that purpose. And I heard a motion, and I'll second the motion.
Okay, the motion is to give the mayor authority to contract with temp agency to bring Sherry Daugherty in for a total of 40 hours over 2 weeks when Denise is out, for a maximum of $850.
Now, if she's working 4 hours a day, that means that City Hall's only open 4 hours a day?
That is correct. Do you have a second? You second that, didn't you?
I second it.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, we have the Easter egg hunt on March the 30th. We've got someone who asked that it should be egg hunt, not Easter egg hunt. And we discussed several things. For the record, Sullivan, Snohomish, Arlington, forget, a couple, 2 or 3 other cities hold Easter egg hunts. And I think one city holds an egg hunt.
So, we're in the discussion,
Yeah.
because you had this discussion there.
Yeah.
My understanding is that from the budget perspective, we had $0 allocated for this.
That's correct.
So in essence, we're not actually sponsoring this is citizens.
We're doing the paperwork on it. Someone has to get the approval from the school to use the school.
I usually submit a application. The school district has an application to use their property. And so I submit that to them. I believe we have insurance that sort of blankets a year for the use of that when we had like Gold Dust days. And make sure
Oh,
that's,
it's part of our coverage.
yeah, make sure that that's in place. And then I usually make out the poster and get it sent out. It has to be done up in packets to the school. They have to approve any literature that goes out to the school, and they have their little quotation on it. And Ray has made many posters.
So what are you telling me, that I have a budget I need to release to allow?
There's no budget effect, just that we have to go and get donations to make it happen, that we've done every year.
But the city doesn't have to do that, Denise can do that as an individual, is that not true?
Usually Joe does it as an individual.
All right.
Joe does it as the mayor, Joe does it.
And I don't have any issue with that, but we really have no business discussing this at a council meeting if you're doing that as individual citizens.
Oh, I think, don't you do this in our time?
I have
Yeah.
Shared,
I have-
shared with
I-
our
I
time
have-
maybe?
I have made posters, or made a poster, a flyer.
Okay.
I shouldn't say posters, but made a flyer, submitted the documents. The email gets sent to the school district via the, my city email.
So truly, we are expending budget.
We are
We're not
expending,
off.
yes, we're not spending additional cash budget, we are spending the labor that's in there, yes.
Yes. See, that was where I was going to, is that what we're really discussing is that it's okay for Denise to do this. Which, in my opinion, is perfectly okay and a wonderful thing to do for the city. but it does come out of our budget